Στο πλάι μου και μη μιλάς λόγια που χάνονται, μη μου ζητάς. Τα παίρνει ο άνεμος σε μια στιγμή, σαν φύλλα πέφτουνε τ' άλλο πρωί. Γύρε στο πλάι μου και μη μιλάς, η νύχτα που έρχεται είναι για μας. Άσε καλύτερα να σου το πει στην αγιά γλώσσα της η μουσική.
Ήταν το καλύτερο.
Τώρα.
Δεν να πάμε μέσα.
This way, inside.
The seat forward a bit, Carrie. The reclining, the two uprights. Ellie? Yes? They don't want to take a photograph?
Στήριξον αυτούς εν ειρήνη και ομονία, εν αμέμπτω βιωτή και πολιτεία. Γορείο ευλογώ, ασύ την πάντα, και την δόξα αναπέμπαμε, Πατρί και το Υιού, το Αγίο Πνεύμα την Ιγιαή, και όλα των αιώνων.
Μεσοποταμία, τελωμένον θρέψης το Κύριο αυτούς γυναίκα και διαμεσητείας θρέψης αναβολήσεστε της Ρεβέκκα να αποκαλύψε, αυτόν ευλόγησον και τον αναβόνα των δούλων του τούτο, Χριστόν και Χριστίν, και στήριξον τον παραθύδα ηθέντα λόγο, και βέωσον αυτούς την παραστού Αγία ενότητα, Γάρ Κύριε, δημιούργησες όψιν και θήκη και παρά σου αρμόζεται ανδρικής βοήθεια και εις διαδοχήν του γέννου των ανθρώπων. Αυτός σου Κύριο Θεός ημών, σε αποστήλας την αλήθεια επί της δούλου σου και την επαγγελία σου επί τους πατέρες καθηκάστων γενεάς και γενεάς εκλέκτους. Και επί την δούην σου Χριστίνα, στήριξον τον αναγώνα αυτόν, και πίστη και ομονία, εν αληθεία και αγάπη. Σιγάν, Κύριε, υπέδειξες δίδαστε τον αγώνα, στηρίζεστε παντή. Για δακτυλιδίου εδόθη εξουσία το Ιωσήφ εν Αιγύπτο. Για δακτυλιδίου εδοξάστη Δανιήλ, όλα Βαβυλώνο. Για δακτυλιδίου εφαιρόθη αλήθεια της τάμας. Για δακτυλιδίου πατηριμόν ουράνη, κτήρμον γέγονεν και τον άνθρωπο των ιών. Ότε γάπηση δακτύλιο στην χείρα αυτού, και έγκανδρες των βάσκων των ψητευτών, δίσατε και φαγόντες εφαμφώνε. Στη δεξιά σου, Κύριε, τον Μωυσής με το πέδευσε, εν αριθμά θαλάσσια. Η αγάπη του λάμους του αληθινού, οι ουρανοί εστερεώθησαν και οι γη θεμελιώθησαν. Στη δεξιά των δούλων του Χριστάς και της Χριστίνης, ευλογηθήσετε το λόγο σου του κρατεό, στο βραχίον ίσου το υψηλό, και πίστη και αμμονία, ρένει, πιστόν Ισραήλ.
Ευλογημένη η βασιλεία του Πατρός και του Υιού και του Αγίου Πνεύματος νυν και αεί και εις τους αιώνας των αιώνων.
Και τη δύνη του Κυρίου δεηθώμε. Και τη σωτηρία των ψυχών ημών του Κυρίου δεηθώμε. Και τι των πάντων εν ο Θεός του Κυρίου δεηθώμε. Το Αγίου οίκος τούτου και των μεταφύσεως ευλογίας και φόβου Θεού εις αιώνων εν αυτός του Κυρίου δεηθώμε.
Φύλαξ και των βιωτικών αγαθός οικονόμος. Αυτός την είναι δέσποτο ενέχει πλάσος των άνθρωπων και θέμενος αυτόν ως βασιλέα της πτήσεως και λοιπόν, που καλόν είναι τον άνθρωπο μόνον επί της γης, ποιήσομεν αυτό βοηθών κατά αυτόν. Και λαυρομία του πλευρών αυτού έφτασας γυναίκα, είναι ειδών Αδάμ, είπε, τούτον είναι αυτούν εκ των οστών μου και σάρκα της σαρκός μου. Αυτή κληθήσεται γυνή, ότι εκ του ανδρός αυτή σε λήφθη αυτή. Ένα και εν τούτου καταλήψει άνθρωπος τον πατέρα αυτού και τη μητέρα αυτού. Στέφεται η δούλη του Θεού Χριστίνα, τον δούλων του Θεού Χριστάκη, εις το όνομα του Πατρός και του Υιού και του Αγίου Πνεύματος. Στέφεται η δούλη του Θεού Χριστίνα, τον δούλων του Θεού Χριστάκη, εις το όνομα του Πατρός και του Υιού και του Αγίου Πνεύματος. The maid of God Christina is given as a crown to the servant of God Christaki in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Ghost. Κανά της Γαλιλαίας και είναι η μέλη του Ιησού εκεί. Εκτίθη δε και ο Ιησούς και είμαστε αυτού εις τον γάμο. Και υστερίσταντος είναι λέγεμοι του Ιησού προς αυτόν ίνον και έκουση. Λέγει αυτή ο Ιησούς τι εμεί και συγκίνε, που πω οικείο. Τότε το καλόν είναι ο τύχος και όταν με σκοτώσεις όταν τον ενάσσον. Και δεν δει και αυτό καλόν είναι ο νέος αυτή. Ταύτην επίσης να τύχαν σημείων ο Ιησούς εν Κανά της Γαλιλαίας. Ανέρχεται δώσαν αυτού και λύσεσαν εις αυτό. be thou magnified and brightened like Abraham, and be blessed like Isaac, and be fruitful like Jacob, as thou goest in peace and work in righteousness the commandments of God. And thou, O bride, be thou magnified like Sarah, and rejoice like Rebekah, and be fruitful like Rachel, as thou rejoiced with thine own husband, and observe the limits of the law. The all-holy, consubstantial, and life-giving Trinity, the one divinity and kinship, bless you, and grant to you length of life, fair offspring, progress in life and in faith. And may you be filled with all the blessings of the earth, and may be to you vouchsafed also the enjoyment of the promised blessings through the intercessions of the Holy Mother of God and all the saints. Amen. Δόξα Συ ο Θεός ή της ημών δόξα Συ, ο δια της εγκανάκη μία κείμενα αναδείξεις των γάμων Χριστός ο αληθινός Θεός ημών, τες πρεσβείες της Παναχράντου και Παναμόμου και της Μητρός.
That's right. Πάμε προς τη μέση, σε παρακαλώ. Απ' εδώ, ελάτε. Yeah, I mean,
Can I get a picture of you?
That's Mr. Daniel. Mr. Russell. You enjoyed it. Mr. and Mrs. Morris. Christabel and Miss Christabel. Right. Please. Mr. and Mrs. Marklew and Mrs. Blossom.
There you are. Mark it
Sorry.
It was very nice. Now,
He's still coming.
And receive our bride and bridegroom, Tina and Chris, together with your host and hostess, Mr. and Mrs. Phil Fishon and Mr. and Mrs. Christoforou.
See
are the bride and bridegroom, sir, ladies and gentlemen. I claim your attention for the toast to the bride and bridegroom, which will be proposed by Mr. P. Christopher.
Before I do that, just a couple of words. Firstly, just to congratulate Team Rankless on the way they look today. They look fantastic. I think you'll agree with that. I think they should both stand up. Stand up. As you probably know, this is brother, and I think that anyway. And also Tina. I mean, Tina's been, most of you that know Tina, has been like part of the family all their lives. Tina and my sisters were lovely friends all their lives. And she's been like a part of the family all the time. It's now that she's done it legally. And the two families as well, so good together. Chris doesn't want to do that, doesn't he? What I'd really like to do is just wish them what I'm sure is going to be a very happy and prosperous life. And I'd like you all to stand up, raise your glasses, whether it's senior, high, or cheers. Toast to the bride and groom. Everybody standing, please. Your toast all together is the bride and bridegroom.
Tonight, we'd like the bride and groom to get ready to dance the traditional wedding dance. Αγαπητοί μου φίλοι, μπορείτε να ετοιμαστεί ηλίθιο καθώς για να μπορέσουμε να κάνουμε το χορό του γάμου. Έτσι. Να ζήσει ηλίθιο καθώς. Γεια σου Κρίς. Να ζήσει Στίνα. Every happiness to the bride and groom. Όλοι κομπάρι. Ναι, εσείς οι μελομέντες.
Hello and welcome to this evaluation DVD, the evaluation of Tina's wedding. This is my godfather's daughter. He thought this was the greatest video in the world. I mean, it's a good video. The guy didn't even make a title sequence. There was these two guys, they were dressed in suits. You know, they had the proper accoutrements for this wedding. They were dressed in suits. They just gave the video. There's not even a highlight sequence. You know, and my godfather, he's apparently, you know, he does editing, you know, he's retired and his hobby is editing like me and everything. He's always inviting me around his house. He says, Andrew, come round to my house, you might learn something. I think the word might comes very prominent in that sentence. I might learn something, you know. We all think we're the greatest editors in the world. But there's more about that, there's more about a do, and let's get into and evaluate Tina's wedding. So this wedding was at the Hilton Hotel, the well, a prestigious place. I mean, you used to have weddings in the Bloomsbury Crest Hotel and the Regency Banqueting Suite. Those were all quite posh places, but the Hilton, you know, I remember sort of acting flash to everybody. Ah, yeah, you know, I'm going to a wedding in the Hilton and all this kind of stuff. And it was more like mutton dressed up as lamb. I always tell you about hokkades. I never really liked hokkades with money. I think in reality, I think we're probably all hokkades with money. Look at me how I'm dressed. I have to admit, I'm dressed to the hilt here. You can see it, it's really flash. When we get to the hall, you know, have a look how tacky it looks. Look at the hall. This is a Hilton Crest Hotel. I suppose they wanted to make it sort of a bit different, you know, a bit, you know, it has to stand out. To me, this is either you love this kind of decor. It is an original decor. But to me, I mean, it sort of says everything about this day. Everything was mutton dressed up as lamb. I mean, you know, you had my godfather, you know, they all these people here, you know, they all came from Cyprus and everything in the 60s, and they opened dress factories. They worked hard and they made a lot of money, but that doesn't give you a bit of class. If you have a look, have a look at this scene here.
And Miss Christabel.
this is what they do in classy weddings. They introduce you, so they would say, Mr. and Mrs. Charalambidis, and you would come and you would shake hands with the parents of the bride and groom. We didn't know anything like that was going to happen, so me and my mum, we sort of split up. So I was with my dad, and my mum was with my sister, for instance, and we went in there, and I remember my dad was standing in front, and I said, make sure you say, when Mr. Charalambous, say Mr. Charalambous and son. No, my dad just said, Mr. Charalambous. I said, and son, and son, and the guy goes, and son. But the point is, my mum was really upset, you know, that she had to come in almost on her own. I don't know if she came in with my sister, but she was upset that we weren't together to walk in. So it was already tacky at that point. And if you have a look at this, have a look. That's the sister of the groom. And she walks in by herself, and the guy's going, who are you? Yeah, I'm the sister of the groom. Oh yeah, and I'm the Prime Minister of England. You know, you know what I'm saying? It was just, you know, it wasn't us that were just being unclassy. It was the place. I mean, this guy, I call him a beef eater. You know, that's what he should be eating. He should be eating at McDonald's. He's got no more class than anybody. You know, the way he reads. Listen to this.
And receive our bride and bridegroom, Tina and Chris, together with your host and hostess, Mr. and Mrs. Phil.
The way he reads it, he doesn't even know. He has to look at the thing. Oh, with Tina and Chris, it's obviously, it's just all put on. So anyway, we're at this wedding and everything. So I've always said this. You know, when you organise the wedding, it's always a nightmare to organise how you're going to organise the tables. Tables usually have 10 people or whatever, and you've got to put people here. You don't want to have one person here or two person here. You've got to put people who you think are going to get on together. So it is a lot of work. Now, my godfather decided to do all the table arrangements himself. So he saw, Andrew doesn't fit on this table. Let's throw him on this other table. And I don't even know that I'm going to sit on a table with a load of strangers. And this is the table. So I'm sitting on this table, and if you have a look, one of the mothers says, Mila Dujengrima, you know, so it's like, talk to the poor guy because he's on his own, you know. I didn't realise that I was Greek and I understood it. And I didn't realise, but this girl, I don't know if my godfather had arranged it. Apparently I was supposed to meet this girl. I think she was there on the table by herself as well, but I didn't know. Look how sugary she is, you know, with all the, you know, it's like having a cup of tea and having too much sugar. She's just so sugary sweet. I suppose looking back at it, you know, I should have sort of chatted up the girl and seen what's what, but I did talk to a guy next to me who actually worked in the 007 Hilton. It was a discotheque in the Hilton. Well, it was years ago. It had even closed at that time. And he was saying how he was a barman and he used to work there. And I remember going with my friend once. It was free to get in. And he goes, my friend goes, go and buy some gin and tonics or something. And I can't remember what it was, but it was 2 little glasses like this. £5. Now, £5 today, you know. £5 in those days, it was like 40, 50 pounds. It was like a whole day's work, you know. £5. I had to call my friend over. I said, we started taking out it was all the money we had. He put 2 and I put 2, whatever. But it was that's another story. So they're coming in, and my godfather decides to give a really big. He must have had a lot to drink, I think, already before this wedding even started. He's giving smackers right on the lips to everybody he can. Do you know what I'm saying? Have a listen to this girl. My godfather was saying just to everybody, you know, have a really good time. He said it to me, have a really good time, Andy, and I'm shaking my head saying, yes, I will. But look, listen to this girl. And she said, oh, don't worry, I will. You know, this is the kind of girl that, you know, you want to avoid like the plague. You know what I'm saying? Really stuck-up little cow. But my godfather, you know, I really used to look up to him. He used to have a factory and everything. He used to say the business was finished back in 1982. I mean, I'd only started there, so I lasted 18 years. But he always used to say the business was finished. He made a lot of money. My mum used to work in the factory. My sister and everybody used to work there. I used to love it, you know. He used to pick up the phones, you know. If he didn't agree with something, up your ass, you know, but in a joking way, you know. And I wish I could tell Milana and all those horrible people, Gina and David, I say, up your ass, you know. I wish I had the guts to do that. So I was always, you know, I always looked up to my godfather. I thought he was really great. He used to, you know, typical, well, he was probably more Greek, he was Jewish. He was probably more Greek than anyone because, you know, he used to think that he was always correct. Kind of person comes round to your house. We had our first colour television. Oh no, the contrast is all wrong. Let me change. You know, can you imagine going to someone's house and just changing the contrast and doing this? Your contrast is all wrong. And his son, my god brother, we'll talk about that in a minute. But this is the guy. Oh, we were talking, you know, I used to know, and I said, oh, I don't need instructions. They used to build boats and stuff. I don't need no instructions to do this. They used to build things without instructions. There was this model airplane, a really big one, and I remember it was a really, really expensive item, and he just put the two wings together in the fuselage. And he stuck it on his wall. There was no other part to it. There was a million parts to it. He didn't even look at the instruction. That's how clever he was. And another story about my godfather. I went to the engagement. There's no video or anything, but I went to the engagement of Tina's, the registry of this wedding. And I went in a white jacket. Now, as I'm going up and shaking hands with everybody, my godbrother, Carrie, says, white jacket right out. And I wanted to hit him one, you know, I wanted to hit him, you know. He says, it has to be in fashion, does it? Now let's have a look at Carrie, how he's dressed at this wedding. He's not even wearing a white jacket, he's wearing a white dinner jacket. I mean, he looks like a waiter, you know, at his own sister's wedding, you know, but I'm sure if he was watching this, he'd say, yeah, but it's right in, Andrew. You know, right in what, you know, it says just come and serve me some drinks, you know, and bring me the food, you know what I'm saying? So I arrive at the wedding and my name isn't on the list. So I go outside with my dad and everything, we have a look at the list more carefully, and some English guy comes along, part of the wedding, part of the official from the place, and says to me, oh, you're not the only one who's done this, some other people have come without being invited. I mean, if I was there now, I would have smacked him in the mouth, you know what I'm saying, the English twat. I mean, most English people don't even reach twat status. Let's put it that, they have to actually work to actually reach twat status. But anyway, I tend to turn around to my dad and say, listen what he's saying, you know, I should have said to him, for your information, I have been invited, but, you know, something's obviously gone wrong. What's gone wrong is my godfather has just put me on a table full of strangers. And talking about godbrothers, now there's a debate here. I used to argue with a friend of mine called Doddy about this. I mean, what is a godbrother? To me, a godbrother is the children of my godmother. But I was told that it's not the children of your godmother or, you know, or your godfather. It's all the godchildren of your godmother. So here we have a look. So I have got a million godbrothers that I don't even know the names of. Here are some of them here. Yeah, Jedward, the two twins, Jedward. you know, apparently they're my brothers, and I can tell you that my godmother used to have hundreds and hundreds of, you know, she used to actually put herself forward. She actually said to my sister once, I'm going, you know, with her friend is standing next to her, you know, a nice little trick, you know, I am going to christen your son, aren't I? And my sister turned around and said, no, my Auntie Abia's going to do it. She hasn't got any children and she's going to do it. And she got a real shock. It was a really big thing for my sister to say that because that was my sister's boss. and you're saying that to your boss, you know, I said, no, you've embarrassed her in front of her friend, you know, no, you're not going to christen, you christen 100 children, you know, you know what I'm saying, so, you know, don't expect to notch another one up. And this is a nice moment. It's the bride entering the church, and have a look at this. My godfather Philip is not letting go of the bride at all. You know, talk about, you know, a planning a wedding, you know, so you know where everyone's going to be. You know, there are some weddings where obviously the father does stand next to the bride, but no one has told Philip this. So he's standing and standing, and the best woman has to sort of, you know, someone has to pull him away. Have a look, someone pulls him away, so the best woman can stand there. I said, talk about planning. This is about as much planning as he did for organising all the places and putting me, Guduru, on a table where I don't even know anybody. You know, sort of, yeah, you know everything. You know, my godfather said to me after, you want to meet new people, don't you? I said, yeah, but at least tell me what's going on. You know, don't sort of go there and don't put me on the list. You know, tell me that I'm going to be on a table full of strangers. And Tina, what a lovely girl. You hear feelings. Maybe it's their favourite song. It's a caricature. It's a theme throughout this wedding. They're playing this feeling song. It's a nice song, but it's not quite right. But anyway, Tina, what a great girl that she was. We used to play when we were small. Tina with Perina. When I went to the engagement, I asked Perina. We used to be really great friends and everything when we were kids. We used to play and everything. She didn't remember anything. Tina remembered everything. She remembers me, and she's a really great girl. But I was really upset with Perina, who didn't remember me at all. But anyway, it was funny because the photographer, have a look at the photographer here. I went down to take some specialist photographs of me at that time, and I was sitting in front of the photographer at his shop, and the phone rings, and he said, I don't know what Tina, it was Tina who had phoned. I should have actually picked up the phone and said, don't worry, but you know, she actually said, the photographer actually said to her, your wedding is not for 3 months yet. What are you worried about? And I would have picked up the phone and said, yeah, what are you worried about? You know, but I don't know what she was complaining about. But I remember that she phoned exactly at the time when I was actually sitting in there talking to the photographer about something else. So just saying about this wedding, everyone dressed up to the T. I was dressed up to the T. I was acting flash to everybody. Oh, yeah, you know, we're going to a wedding at the Hilton. But it was a stuffy wedding. This was 1 week before Georgina's wedding, and Anastasia, it was very bad actually, because that's Anastasia's nephew that's getting married, and we were trying to say, well, have a look at Georgina's wedding and how much zesty there was and how much this and that there was at Georgina's wedding. That's how a wedding should be. I don't think that's very fair. I think everyone's dancing nicely to this, you know, it's half Jewish, half Greek. They've got a Greek band and they've got an English band as well. Everyone's dancing, but because everyone's dressed to a T, it's sort of a little bit stuffy. I can't explain that to you too well, what was actually wrong with this wedding. I can tell you what was wrong with the wedding with me is I was sitting on a table with, you know, strangers. Obviously once I'd eaten, I'd left and everything. I can't say that I enjoyed this wedding too much. I looked good. I did look good. I remember Joanna used to say to me when I was young, he says, you're quite handsome, but don't smile. And I can understand what she's saying. Have a look. My face seems to crack open like a, you know, like a volcano erupting, you know, or a, you know, you know, or an earthquake. And I can understand because you see me changing the rings, you know, you're really handsome, you know, Sean Connery looks. And suddenly I smile and I ruin everything. Have a look. So that was it really. That is the conclusion. That's the end. There was no ending sequence. There was no title sequence. The title sequence you see, I created. I mean, you can see me You know, obviously you saw me, you know, I've already mentioned it, you know, that you see just me. I mean, it wouldn't just be me on the title sequence. There was no title sequence, it was just directly filmed. He had 2 cameras. The guy had 2 cameras. Have a look at one camera and have a look at the quality of the other. That's it. I mean, one camera was a disaster. I don't know what make that was. I would like to write down that make. Probably a Sharp. Always said that Sharps are crappy makes. But you know, it's no good, you know, you're taking 2 cameras down and in the end you're only getting a result from 1 camera. So as I said, there's no ending sequence. I'd like to thank my godfather for putting me on a table full of strangers and ruining the wedding for me. But no, it was a good wedding. It was a good memory. I did have a thing that I wasn't going to evaluate this. I've DVD'd it and I felt it was worth remembering. So that's it. So I'll see you another time and watch and enjoy.